Hey guys, it's Rebecca. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. Today's video is going to be my April wrap-up for my A to Z reading challenge. This year I'm doing two A to Z challenges. One is makeup based and the other one is reading, and I'm doing this in collab with a bunch of other girls. So everybody will be linked down below. But basically we want to read books that fill the not vocabulary, alphabet. And so the way I am doing it is I am going by title. So the first letter of the title needs to land on a letter of the alphabet. So that's how I'm doing it. A lot of people are including like the authors, or as long as the letter is present in any part of the title, they're counting it. But that's just how I'm doing it. Who's that? Anyway, let's just get started. So this month for April, I read a total of 8 books. And unfortunately, out of those 8, only 2 fulfill a letter that I have left. I have previously finished 13 letters, and so with these 2 I am up to 15. So I think I really just need to develop a strategy where I read books that fill the letters that I haven't read. Basically right now I'm just reading whatever I want, but maybe I need to get a little bit more strategic. But anyway, I'm gonna go in alphabetical order of the letters that I read. The first one was for the letter D, and for that I read Death in the Stacks by Jen McKinley. This is book number 9 in the Library Mystery Lovers series. I think that's what it's called. And these books are so fun. They're so easy to read. Basically you follow Lindsay, who is the librarian. Book number 1 is her being new to the town and taking over the library, but every time these are murder mystery novels, so there's a murder that needs to be solved in every single book. This book was no different. This book took me about a day and a half to read. It's really fun, very easy to read, very engaging. It's one of those cozy reads, so if you like those, I think you would enjoy it. I think I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I have given all of them 4 out of 5 stars. They're not like mind-blowing, but they're really fun to read. So that is this one. The next letter that I completed was M, and for that I read My Favorite Half Night Stand by Christina Lauren. This is my second Christina Lauren book. I think the first one that I read was The Hating Game. No, that's not Christina Lauren. Dating You, Hating You, that's the first book I read. But basically this book is about 2 friends who become friends with benefits, but they decide to join an online dating site. But the girl creates a fake profile and she ends up being matched to her friend that she's being friends with benefits. And it's your basic, lack of communication rom-com book that had they only been honest with each other, they would have avoided a bunch of stuff. But this is a chick lit book. It's really fun. I went through this very fast. Not my favorite. I think I like Dating You, Hating You better, just because I found that trope of like miscommunication kind of like annoying. Had they just been honest with each other, they would have avoided a lot of stuff. But it was a fun read to follow these 2 people who are obviously into each other, but are kind of like not wanting to do anything, I guess, because they didn't want to ruin the relationship, but they were still being friends with benefit, which could potentially ruin it. I don't know. I liked it. I had a good time reading it. Not my favorite, but it was a good one. I think I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And that's it for the A to Z part. I am also trying to complete the PopSugar reading challenge, which gives you 50 prompts and you're supposed to read books that pertain to that prompt. So out of those, I can't quite remember how many I've completed, but I did complete 4 out of the list that I have left over. So the first one that I'm gonna go over is for the prompt of a retelling of a classic. And for that I went with My Plain Jane by a bunch of people, Cynthia Han, Brody Ashen, and Jody Meadows. This book is a retelling-ish of Jane Eyre. Now, I read My Lady Jane last year, I think it was, and I absolutely love that story that talks about Jane Grey, British history, which if you guys have seen any of my book related videos, you guys know I am very interested about or in. But this book follows the story of Jane Eyre. I have read Jane Eyre, but honestly I I don't quite remember it. I've only read it once, and that was a while back. So I don't quite remember the story of Jane Eyre. I've never seen the movie or anything like that. So the other book, My Lady Jane, was an experience for me because I kept comparing like the real story versus the retelling story, and I tried to do that with this book, and because I didn't remember Jane Eyre, I didn't quite enjoy the story that My Plain Jane. So I think I ended up giving this one 3 out of 5. This story does bring Charlotte Bronte as a character, which was interesting, and it does have some paranormal properties to the story. I still enjoyed it. It was fun, but I didn't have the same experience that I did as I was reading My Lady Jane. So for that reason, I only give it 3 out of 5 stars. And I know there's a third book coming out. I don't think it's out yet, but I am very interested to see what that book's gonna be about and to read it. So anyway, that was for the retelling of a classic. And also this book fit the prompt of a ghost story. Now this book is not necessarily about a ghost, but there are ghosts in here, so I felt like it fit the prompt. Then for the prompt of a book by 2 female authors, very specific 2 female authors, I went with my favorite Half Night Stand by Christina Lauren, because Christina and Lauren are 2 different people. It's just the name. It's not one person. It's a girl named Christina and a girl named Lauren who authored these books, so it fit perfectly. And the last book that I read that fit any of the prompts was for a book set in space, and for that I finished Cydia, which is the 3rd book in the Illuminate trilogy. This is the last book in that series, so I can't really say much. And how could I explain the Illuminate series? First of all, this book is told, if you guys are not familiar, it's not like a narrative. It's told in email, text messages, documents. I think there's a lot of different points of view. I actually listened to this on audiobook, and it came with a full cast, so it was really fun to. I felt like I was watching a movie when I was listening to this. But basically, the Illuminate File series, how can I say? It's about this planet, Carenza, that is kind of like somewhere in the universe. And there's people who are interested in the planet, and there's kind of like a war ensues, and there's the resistance and the people, that the resistance is fighting. I don't know how much to explain this book because it's the finale. So I really enjoyed it. I flew through it. Like I said, I listened to it on audiobook. That's how I listened to all 3, just because of the way of the format that it's written. It's a lot. I think it's more satisfying to listen to it because you have a full cast of characters, and it just feels like like if you were listening to a movie in the background. Like, you know what I mean? Anyway, I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And I give a lot of books 4 out of 5 stars. I save my 5 star ratings for like books that I absolutely love. So just FYI. And the last 4 books that I read, either they are a duplicate letter of something that I've already read or something that doesn't fit a prompt. So the other book that I read was The Kiss Quotient by Helen Hong. I think that's what it's called. This book had a lot of hype going into it. It's about this girl who has, is it Asperger's? Yes, Asperger's disease, and she hires a male escort to teach her about dating and other things. And this book had a lot of hype on about it, but I didn't really care for it. Like, I didn't really care about the characters, the romance. I wasn't a fan, so I think I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. I would be interested in maybe picking up another book from this author, but I'm not like, oh, I gotta read all the books like the way I feel with the Christina Lauren books. It was just okay. I'm not in a hurry to read another one of her books. Then I have Unwind by Neil Shusterman. No, Unsold by Neil Shusterman. This is the 3rd book in the Unwind series. Another book that I can't really tell you guys much about, but basically the Unwind series is about this future society in which abortions are illegal, but you can unwind the child between the ages of 13 and 18. So if your parents decide to unwind you, that just means that they're going to take your body apart and use you as a human donor for everything. They can take anything, your hair, your skin, your organs, your limbs, for people who need it. So instead of like letting you die and go to waste, the way that they're selling this is they're unwinding you to help others. So it's not as bad as abortion per se. This is the third book in that series. So I can't really talk much about it because holy crap, that it's very very different than any other kind of dystopian futuristic stories that I've read. It's really interesting. I suggest that you guys haven't picked it up, you guys do pick it up. This is an older series, I think from like early 2000s or mid 2000s. I can't find it, but it's really good. It's an older series. I think if you guys like dystopian, which I know that it's not a thing anymore, I really think people would enjoy it. Next, I read Paris for One and Other Stories by Jojo Moyes. How do you say it? She wrote, oh my God, what's the name of that book that she wrote? Me Before You. I can't believe I blanked out that name. She's the author of Me Before You. This book has 7 or 9 short stories / novellas about women who are in different types of romantic situations. It has 9 stories. I enjoyed 7 out of the 9 stories. The other 2 stories were either, one was really short and the other one I didn't really care about. And I felt like it didn't connect with any of the other ones, any of those 2, but the other ones I really did enjoy. Super easy to read and very fast because since they're short stories, I felt like I was going through it really fast. Not my favorite one, but I thought it was still pretty good. So I would recommend, if you enjoy Jojo Moyes' other books, I think you would enjoy this one. And last but not least, I read The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna. I had first discovered Kristen Hanna last year when I read The Nightingale, which ended up being my favorite book of 2018. And this is the second book that I've read. I think this came after The Nightingale. I might be wrong, but I did read it and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. This story follows this girl growing up with her family. For whatever reason, they moved to Alaska, which I didn't know Alaska is also known as the Great Alone. That's something I learned. But they moved to Alaska and they have a very abusive father, very unhealthy family dynamics, and you follow her as she grows up, living alone in a dysfunctional family. And of course, it's really sad. This book actually made me like yell at the characters. Like I remember one time saying, I can't believe you're that stupid, because of a decision that she made towards the end of the book. Anyway, if you enjoyed The Nightingale, I think you will enjoy this one. I think it's just as good. Not quite as sad. It's a different kind of sad. This is kind of like disturbingly sad where The Nightingale was just kind of like sad, if that makes sense. Anyway, I enjoyed this book so much. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, and I can't wait to discover any more books from Kristen Hanna because I think she writes just amazing stories. So that is this one, and that's it, guys. Those are all the books that I read in the month of April. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave me questions in the comments. Also, you can follow me on Goodreads if you want to know what I'm reading. Somebody made a comment, and I can't remember who it was, saying that I was going through my Unwind series really fast, but I add a bunch of books to my currently reading section, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm like actually reading them at the moment. It just means that they're kind of like on my TBR pile. That makes sense. So if you guys want to follow me on Goodreads, my link is down below. And that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you on my next video.